Hi, I'm Brant Menswar, and welcome to my show, Just a Moment. As a former world touring musician turned keynote speaker and author, I've experienced my share of life-altering moments that have both broken me and propelled me forward. How you leverage those moments or push through them will define your destiny. Each week on my show, I'll provide tools on how to maximize those moments, as well as interview some of the most successful entrepreneurs, entertainers, and athletes on how the power of a single moment changed their life. Join me to learn how to change what's possible for your life. It'll take just a moment. In honor of the Olympics, I thought we'd cover an unbelievable Olympic moment. Some dreams don't fade. They shatter. And sometimes the sound they make when they break is so loud, you think it's the end of your life. This is the story of a young woman who trained her entire childhood for 90 seconds and then lost all of it on a blue gym mat. In 2011, Adriana Ruano was Guatemala's golden child. A gymnast, graceful, disciplined, explosive. She had done what elite athletes do. She sacrificed birthdays, holidays, sleep, her childhood. Every early morning, every aching muscle, every blistered hand, all for one thing: the 2012 London Olympics. For a gymnast, your window is small. One routine, one landing, one moment. But she was ready. And then, a routine practice. A landing she had done 1,000 times. Except this time, there was a pop. Not a tweak, not soreness, a pop. 6 broken vertebrae. 6. Doctors didn't sugarcoat it. Her gymnastics career was over. Not maybe, over. They weren't even sure she'd walk normally again. Imagine that shift. You go from training to fly to learning how to stand. The Olympics didn't just disappear. They evaporated. For years, Adriana disappeared. The headlines moved on. The public loves rising stars. They do not linger for injured ones. She became one of those stories we've all heard before. Promising athlete, career cut short. That's where most stories end. That's where we assume the credits roll. But here's what most people didn't see. Her doctor noticed something. She no longer had a gymnast's back, but she still had an Olympian's eyes. The focus hadn't left. The discipline hadn't left. The fire hadn't left. It just didn't have a place to land. And then came a suggestion so strange, it almost sounded cruel. Try trap shooting. Trap shooting? A sport where you stand still, raise a shotgun, and fire at clay targets flying across the sky. For a former gymnast, it sounded like a joke. But her doctor wasn't joking. The rigid, braced posture required to shoot was one of the only physical positions her spine could tolerate. It wasn't graceful. It wasn't dynamic. It wasn't what she had trained for, but it was possible. Here's what makes this story so powerful. She didn't bring a shooter's body to the range. She brought a gymnast's mind. Years of learning how to block out noise, how to focus while a crowd roared, how to control adrenaline, how to breathe when the pressure spiked. Gymnastics had trained her nervous system for chaos. Trap shooting demanded stillness. And suddenly, stillness became her superpower. The thing that ended her dream had carved out the only lane where this new skill could flourish. Paris, 2024. Adriana Ruano walks onto the Olympic range, not as a broken gymnast, not as a what could have been, but as a world-class marksman. The targets launch. 1, 2, 3. She doesn't rush. she doesn't flinch. She doesn't chase the noise. In fact, she hits 45 out of 50 targets. An Olympic record. Guatemala's first ever gold medal. The first ever. Let that sink in. When she stood on that podium, she wasn't grieving the gymnast she used to be. She wasn't asking what if. She wasn't thinking about London. She was standing inside a version of herself that could only exist because the first dream died. The injury that ended her life was the only doorway to history. You know, we talk about resilience like it's bouncing back. But sometimes resilience isn't bouncing back. It's redirecting forward. Most leaders spend an enormous amount of energy trying to restore what was. The old plan, the old market, the old identity. But what if the thing that broke you wasn't an interruption? What if it was instruction? Adriana didn't rebuild gymnastics. She didn't force a comeback. She asked a different question. What is still possible? That question changed everything. Here's a moment for you. What dream in your life feels shattered? What plan feels permanently closed? And what if the skill you built for that dream wasn't wasted, but transferable? Because sometimes the champion you're mourning is the wrong one. And the version of you that history is waiting for is standing quietly in a completely different arena. I'm Brant Menswar, and this has been Just a Moment. Thanks for spending this moment with me. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Just a Moment. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast and tell a friend or two about it to help spread the word so everyone can find a moment that inspires them. Don't forget to leave us a review and check us out on the web at justamomentpodcast.com. Just a Moment is produced by Natalie Von Rose and Brant Menswar. For more inspiring shows like this, visit surroundpodcasts.com.